In Japan's largest freshwater lake, the waters of Biwa have carried myths for over 1,000 years. Some tell of dragons that sleep beneath its surface, others of shrines swallowed by rising tides. But among fishermen and divers, there is another story, one whispered only at night, about the hair that drifts just below the surface, waiting to wrap around the living. 1. Ripples beneath a torii. The sun was sinking low over Lake Biwa, painting the surface in molten gold. A vermilion torii gate stood half submerged, the upper beam weathered and bleached by decades of wind and rain. It had once marked the entrance to a shrine, long ago claimed by the lake. Takeshi, a fisherman in his 50s, rowed his small boat past it, casting his line. The water was still, broken only by the lazy arcs of dragonflies. Then he noticed a ripple. Not the quick splash of a fish, but a slow, deliberate widening of rings in the water. Leaning over the side, he saw strands of something dark drifting up from the depths. At first, he thought it was just lakeweed torn loose by a current. But the lake was calm, and the strands seemed to sway with purpose, twisting and unfurling like something alive. He blinked, and they were gone, sucked back beneath the glassy surface. Takeshi pulled up his line and rowed toward shore without looking back. Later that night, lying in bed, he could still picture it, black strands moving against the current, as if reaching for him. 2. The hair in the water. It began as small complaints from swimmers. The lake was warm enough for children to play along the shore, splashing near the torii. But soon some came back shivering, saying something slimy had brushed against their legs. "It's just weeds," their parents said, pointing to the long green ribbons waving near the rocks. But Aiko, a university student visiting for the summer, swore it wasn't weeds at all. She'd been floating near the shrine when she felt it. Thin strands wrapping around her ankle, clinging, almost tightening. She had kicked hard, breaking free, but as she swam toward shore, something grazed her calf. She looked down through the murky green and caught the faintest glimpse of pale fingers vanishing into the depths, tangled in the drifting strands. When she told the locals, they only shook their heads and told her to stay away from the gate. "The water there is deeper than it looks," one old man muttered. But it wasn't the depth that haunted her. It was the feeling that someone down there had tried to hold her in place. 3. The face below. Kenji, a recreational diver, came to Lake Biwa on a clear August morning. His goal was to photograph the submerged steps of the old shrine. With his wetsuit zipped and oxygen tank secure, he descended slowly through the green-filtered light. The torii loomed above as he reached the mossy stone steps. His flashlight beam swept over silt and drifting fish, and then caught on something swaying gently in the water. It looked like a mass of thick black strands, anchored to nothing. As he moved closer, the strands shifted, revealing a pale, expressionless face. Long black hair floated outward in a halo, framing empty eyes that snapped open. The mouth moved, bubbles rising from between its pale lips. Kenji's body went rigid. The figure drifted closer without moving its limbs, the hair stretching impossibly far, curling toward him like living ropes. His instincts took over. He kicked upward, breaking the surface, gasping, ripping off his mask. He didn't go back in to retrieve his camera. Later, when he told the story in the bar, his hands trembled as he swore the hair had been reaching for him.
4.
The Missing Fisherman. It was a stormy afternoon when Sho, a young fisherman, failed to return. His mother called the harbor. No one had seen him. The search went on until sunset, when a patrol boat spotted Sho's vessel drifting near the Torii. Inside the boat, everything seemed in place. Nets neatly folded, tackle box closed. But in the center of the floor lay a wet clump of black hair. It was thick, slick, and far too long for any local's head. The strands coiled on themselves like something freshly cut, or freshly shed. The police took it as evidence, but Sho's body was never found. Divers searched, but the lake bed near the shrine was a tangle of weeds and darkness. Some said the hair in the boat was a warning, others a trophy. At the edge of the harbor, Sho's mother left offerings, rice, sake, and a comb, facing the lake. The next morning, the comb was gone. 5. The Bride Beneath Lake Biwa. The elders still tell the story. Long ago, during the Edo period, a young bride was crossing the lake by boat on her wedding day. A sudden storm overturned the vessel, dragging her into the depths. They say her hair, black and shining, spread out over the water like ink. When the body was found days later, her hair had grown impossibly long, wrapping around her own limbs. The priest who blessed her burial warned that such a death leaves the spirit restless. Since then, fishermen whisper of the Biwa no Hanayome, the Bride of Biwa, who waits near the sunken shrine. Her hair is said to grow eternally, drifting through the water until it brushes against the living. If she likes you, she'll pull you down to join her in the cold silt below, wrapping you in her endless tresses. Every summer someone disappears, and every time someone swears they saw hair floating on the water where the ripples began. Water hides more than it reveals. In the stillness of a lake, things drift without ever rising to the surface, until they choose to. If you swim in Lake Biwa and feel something brush against your leg, remember this: some strands won't break if you kick. They'll only pull tighter. Lake Biwa, in Shiga Prefecture, is Japan's largest and oldest freshwater lake. It has been central to regional myths, trade, and religion for centuries. Submerged torii gates and shrine ruins are common in its shallows, remnants of sites moved or abandoned due to changing water levels. Japanese folklore often gives the drowned, especially brides and young women, a powerful, restless presence. Hair in particular holds spiritual significance. It is believed to retain part of a person's essence even after death. Stories of vengeful spirits with preternaturally long hair appear across Japan, from coastal fishing towns to mountain springs, often warning swimmers and divers to avoid certain waters during specific times of year.